to thefogvlog.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of MarkSr Review. If you clicked on this, you know we're talking about MarkSr tonight. I think it's Mark Senior. Does he live in Canada, Richard? He's on the mixologist group. I just haven't seen where he's from.
As far as I know, he's from Canada, yeah.
Okay, well, you know, I spoke with Mark and I told him we want to do a MarkSr review show on some of his mixes. He's got a really big body of work, I think about 5 pages on ATF. So very, very cool. Go check that out. I'll drop a link in chat. And yeah, on that note, thank you to everybody in chat. Welcome and thanks for joining us week after week. We really appreciate it. So let's just jump right into it. Okay, I'll start off with Twinkies. Okay, I'm down for a Twinkie. You know, I am down for a Twinkie or, you know, a cheesecake. Unfortunately, Mark uses a lot of different flavors, you know, in his mixes, and I couldn't mix up one of his cheesecakes, unfortunately. So I went with this Twinkie. Okay, so his description in here is pretty basic recipe of my version of a Hostess Twinkie, simple but good. Okay, so the ingredients are 0.5% Flavor West yellow cake, 1.5 golden butter, 2.5 Flavour pound cake, 1% Inwera Shisha vanilla, 1% Sugar Daddy TBV Rick, 2% sweet cream OOO, and 2% TFA whipped cream. Okay, so I'll break this down, you know, from a layer perspective, or what I think the layers are. So let's look at the cake layer first. FLV pound cake with a smidge of Flavor West yellow cake, excuse me. And I think the golden butter also helps out that cake quite a bit. So I think you can call that the cake layer. Now, what I like about this, it's, you know, it's very smooth. I love Flavor West yellow cake. Unfortunate about the fructose in there, but quite clever what Mark did over here. He used pound cake, you know, because it's got that, you know, kind of Twinkie taste to it. But then he filled it out with Flavor West yellow cake. So, you know, there's not a lot of yellow cake in here. It's just added to, you know, to help layer that cake and make it, you know, more authentic. Nice full body. Nice full body. Excuse me. Okay, let's go to the whipped cream, right? The whipped cream plus the sweet cream plus the sweetener adds a realistic creamy filling to the party. However, I feel that the cream kind of bleeds into the cake. Okay, so I'm not getting, as you eat Twinkie, you kind of get a little bit of that separation as you chew down on it. So, you know, the experience I'm getting is almost after you've had a couple of chews in it and you get like a mix of that cream and that cake. That's kind of what the experience is, okay? It is delicious. I think you're going to be hard pressed to find someone that enjoys a cake vape and doesn't appreciate this. Mark says it is simple, but I don't think it's such a simple mix. I mean, you've got 2 layers here. He buffed out, you know, cream filling. He buffed out a cake. There's some skill there, you know, and I appreciate it. It might be simply, but I think it's simply awesome. Okay, just the one thing is, you know, the one nitpicky thing is to try and get that creamy filling layered so it doesn't bleed into the cake as much. But yeah, 100% tip of the banger from me for this one. I like it. I'll definitely mix it up. And if you enjoy cake vapes, you should be trying this out. Deets?
So I did Bananas Galore. And the description says, this would be a nice banana with a banana foster and the baked caramelized sugars, then the banana nut bread, adding the slight bakery note, and the banana cream will tie them both together with a creamy mouthfeel. The percentages are 2.85% TPA banana cream, 3% TPA banana nut bread, and 3.65% bananas Foster. Now, okay, let me get my notes. So for me, my notes here, starting from the email, I say it's a bit of a artificial or candy, like a runty type of candy banana on the start of the inhale. That turns to a cinnamon baked type of vape in the middle and on the exhale, and with a more of a sweet type of candy banana on the exhale with a little bit of a nutty cinnamon trail also. Now, the cinnamon in the bananas Foster is a little bit strong for me, and I think it's throwing the whole recipe off for me personally on my taste or what I normally like. Now, it has potential to be a bit better for me in terms of what it's aiming for, but unfortunately the cinnamon from that bananas Foster is just throwing it up to the profile is very dry to me because of that cinnamon. It's not the flavor is not that it's not enjoyable. It's the flavor is good. The profile is works very well together. But I think the ratios with that bananas Foster is just a little bit too strong for me personally. So what I possibly would say can help with that cinnamon would be something like a cream. There is banana cream, TPA banana cream in there. But I think because of that cinnamon sharpness, to me personally, it can work well with a cream, maybe like a Inuera mist cream, because specifically it's a sweet type of cream, and it's also a light cream at the same time. So that can work, or possibly looking at the ratios of the banana Foster and the TPA banana cream. What I would personally do for my liking is I would possibly try and increase the TPA banana cream and decrease the bananas Foster. It's purely based on the experience I'm having with the bananas Foster that's making this recipe a little bit difficult for me. So, I mean, possibly another bananas Foster could work here too. But yeah, that's what I found with this recipe. It was a good recipe, but the bananas Foster's cinnamon specifically didn't work for me. It seems like I'm a bit sensitive to cinnamon, so for that cinnamon specifically, it was a little bit not to my liking. That was my recipe. Richard, what did you mix up?
Right, I also mixed up the Banana Galore. This recipe appealed to me greatly because one of my favorite mixes, and something that's in my rotation normally, is Mr. Cold One's 3 Banana Nuts, which is a much older recipe. What that one did is it basically took ID10T's simple sugar cookies, which is cap sugar cookie and cap vanilla custard, and then put in a large dose, 7% of TFA banana nut bread. So you got a sort of banana nut bread slash sugar cookie type mix, and it's really effective and very tasty, you know, especially for such a simple 3 ingredient mix. So having a look at this one, also 3 ingredients, also banana flavor, obviously. I was very keen to try this up. And the mixture of the dry banana nut bread with the more moister banana cream works quite well for me. The balance is good there, and I'm getting a good moisture level and a good texture in the mix. I think where the problem for me is in using 3 different banana flavors. They just don't mesh that well for me, whereas the 3 banana nuts, the recipe I was talking about previously, only has that banana nut bread banana flavor, and then backs it up with a sugar cookie and a custard. This one has 3 different bananas coming in. They don't mesh well for me, and I'm getting, especially on the inhale, I'm getting almost like a chemical note. It's not too much of a runce banana, because that banana nut bread is a pretty good banana flavor, but it's just I think it's the Bananas Foster coming in again there with that sort of spicy note that's in it, that's just pushing that banana out of spec a little bit. I would prefer to just focus on something like either the banana cream or the banana nut bread banana on its own. And this again is interesting because whenever we mix fruits, we have this kind of idea that you get a better result when you mix 2 or 3 of them together. This is one case where mixing 3 different bananas together, to me, doesn't work as well as just having that single banana nut bread and supporting it with other flavors. The sweetness level of this juice, it wasn't very sweet for me, but I wouldn't sweeten it any further, as I think that that's just going to push that banana runce note a little bit. I found that sweetening bananas tends to push it very quickly into runce candy. I think the main problem in this recipe for me is the Bananas Foster. It's a difficult concentrate to use because there's so much going on there. It's only used in just over 200 odd recipes on all the flavors, whereas banana cream and banana nut bread are both used in far more recipes. And I think the problem is that, it's just that mixture. Bananas Foster is almost like a one-shot on its own. So I think mixing it with 2 other banana flavors is where the problem is coming in for me. Texture and sweetness level and moisture level, I like all 3 of those in this mix. It's just that banana note just kind of strays a little bit from where I would like it to be. It's not an unpleasant mix for me, but it's maybe not quite on the same level as that 3 banana nuts, which, as I said, is in my rotation pretty much permanently. Daniel, what did you mix up?
Okay, so I mixed up chocolate mousse, which is, as it says, a chocolate mousse, but a Canadian, because it's MOOSC, not MOUSSE. So I'll go over the flavors quickly. We've got 1.25% Hanson Australian chocolate, 4% Marlinberry Glamour chocolate, 1% Inawera Shisha vanilla, 1.8% toasted marshmallow, 1% cap vanilla custard, and 2% Flavora vanilla pudding. So from me, just on my notes, I don't really get a chocolate mousse. I get a lot more of a chocolate pudding, like that instant chocolate pudding that you whip up that gets very thick. That's if that's the kind of mousse that's then maybe in Canada, that makes sense. I'm used to the very fluffy, whipped cream and chocolate mix. So it's like that fluffy, bubbly mousse. That's the mousse that I know. So if the mousse in Canada is more of that vanilla or that thick chocolate pudding, like the vanilla pudding and the banana pudding, all of those ones, that instant pudding, then this is definitely close to that. So for me, the Australian chocolate and the Glamour chocolate are actually a really good pairing, because you get a lot of that bright syrupy chocolate from Glamour chocolate, and Australian chocolate to me is a bit more on the darker side, like a lot more cocoa than what you get in Glamour chocolate. So together they sort of fill each other out quite well. So you get a very good chocolate note. Like for me, I think that's like the biggest thing about this recipe, or my favorite thing about the recipe, is that chocolate base, because I can use that in other things further. And then the basic like vanilla custard, vanilla pudding, and shisha vanilla is obviously there to thicken out those creams and add a bit more of that texture. And then I find interesting is the 1.8% toasted marshmallow, because it's fairly high. Usually somebody uses it as an accent note, and he did say he added toasted marshmallow to bring more of that campfire feel. So I suppose if you go camping in Canada, you camp with chocolate mousse. Must be a thing. Maybe MarkSr can explain it to me sometime. But the toasted marshmallow is definitely more prominent at the 1.8% than what I've had before, and it adds a quite a nice note to bridge those creams together. So if I had to mix this myself, those chocolate mousse, I would take the same chocolate base, but I would add something like a whipped cream, which I think instead of vanilla pudding, I would use something like vanilla whipped cream. and really crank that up so you get that fluffiness. And I think the marshmallow does a pretty good job here to try and bring out that fluffiness. I just don't think it's what's helping make it a fluffy mousse, but more of a chocolate pudding. Overall, it's a good recipe, and I quite enjoyed it. So it's a fist bump for me. And then Richard, I think you mixed something else up as well, eh?
Right. My second recipe was salted caramel creme brulee. Let's just go through the recipe quickly. It's 0.3% Inawera biscuit, 2.75% Flavor West butter pecan, 0.85% Flavor West salted caramel, 3% Cap cereal 27, 0.85% Inawera creme brulee, and 0.75% Cap golden butter. Okay, so right off the bat, the name of salted caramel creme brulee is not really what I'm getting. I would call it a pecan bakery brulee. Is more the profile that I'm getting. I'm getting a prominent pecan note with a sort of golden bakery mixture underneath, which I would call half brulee, half bakery cereal. It strikes a very nice balance between that sort of custard-like brulee and more of a cereal bakery type. It's perhaps a little bit dry, for a standalone brulee, but you'd expect that when you're adding dry cereal and bakery notes into it. It gives for me a very velvety and excellent. It's a fine-grained but a dense texture. I think we can look at the Cap cereal 27 as being a big player there. The butter is laden very, very nicely. It doesn't come across as buttery, but it does help that brulee note. And the butter kind of lingers on the tongue after the exhale. The color is quite light. This isn't a deep golden baked brown sort of color. It's a lighter blonde color. We talked last week when we mixed up Odd Drop's birdcage of it having quite a number of darker ingredients in it, which push it towards the sort of darker bakery edge of the spectrum. This is much more towards the lighter edge of the bakery spectrum. I was quite surprised by how prominent that FW salted caramel is, because I've often seen it used up to 4 or 5% in recipes without really coming across that prominently. Here I do get it. It's not a prominent caramel note, but it definitely does play very well with that Inawera creme brulee, that sort of burnt sugar note on top of the brulee. It softens that note, so you're not getting that burnt sugar note, which can become acrid quite quickly. I think keeping the creme brulee down low and layering in the FW salted caramel works really nice there. The caramel also rounds out the butter pecan, which can also get a little bit funky. For me, the caramel rounds that out nicely. So generally the sort of overall profile that I'm getting, it reads as a blonde, a lighter brulee with a layer of very fine pecan crumbs on top of that creme brulee, and then with a kind of bakery crummy note, infused into the brulee. The sweetness is on point for me. No sweetener is used, and I don't think it needs it. There's enough natural sweetness from the ingredients used, so it's just about on the level of sweetness that I would like. This is right in my wheelhouse. Anything with bakery and nutty notes, butter pecans, custard notes, and so on, is going to be right up my alley. So this is definitely something that I'll be mixing up again. It's an enjoyable vape for me. I don't think I'd call it an all-day vape, simply because I find pecan a little bit pungent to vape continually. I get tired of it fairly quickly, but I can certainly take this sort of brief half-hour sessions quite regularly. This is a fine vape, and I would give this a tip of the banger. Daniel, you tried this one as well.
Yeah, I did. So for me, it's the only thing I struggle with is whether this is a creme brulee or more of a like those artisan creme brulee cookies, right? Or biscuits, because it's that cap cereal 27 and that Inware biscuit really adds like a strong bakery note to it. So for me, like a creme brulee is usually quite creamy. You can have nuts in a creme brulee. I've had like a walnut creme brulee before, but it's not very bakery forward. It's a lot more cream with that burnt sugar notes type of thing, right? Where this is like it's between that, like it's a cookie or bakery, and it's a creme brulee, and we kind of just mesh them together. That being said, though, I actually quite enjoy this. I think Cereal 27 adds a very nice like honey malt note to it. If it's used low enough, you can usually accent something with it. But yeah, you're getting that AP coming through that bakery, or adds to the bakeries, but you also get that honey malt where the butter pecan and the caramel salted salted caramel from Flavorways, right? Those two, that combo is really good, because I get like a really good salt note from Flavorways caramel, which was quite surprising, because I didn't think you'd be able to get like a salt note. But even on its own, I've used it up at like 3-4% just to push it up, and it's got quite a good salty note. So with me, like adding that with a nut really brings it out, but it's also that element where you add like a pinch of salt to a bakery, right? Just to bring out the sweetness, and it definitely does that. You get that sweetness from the creme brulee coming through. You get that pecan that's got that back end of the sweetness, and then the golden butter just rounds everything off. You get like a very nice butter note. But to me, I think it's not really a creme brulee in itself. I think calling it a salted caramel creme brulee is pushing it. I think you would need to remove all the bakery elements from it. You could probably leave butter pecan in so that you have a bit of that texture as well. So it sort of emulates that brown sugar or that hardness that you get when you crack a creme brulee open. You could definitely use butter pecan to emulate that if you use it lower. So in terms of name, I don't think it's accurate to its name, but in terms of how it tastes, for me, it's a banger. I thoroughly enjoy it. I just think it's more of a bakery than it is a creme brulee.
Cool.
That's actually a strong point about the recipe for me, is that textural mixture of the of the creme brulee with the bakery elements in it. It makes it very pleasing. I think he balanced that very nicely, and it comes out with a very pleasing, fine-grained, but nevertheless dense texture that's sort of half creme brulee, half bakery. And it's something I haven't tasted that often, but it was really appealing for me. It was quite a new experience, and I really enjoyed it.
It's sort of like, if you buy like those cookies that have like a filling, right, in between. So like this reminds me of like if you create a butter pecan like biscuit or cookie, like, and then you just fill it with creme brulee like filling, and you element where you're getting a bit of both,
Yeah,
it's well balanced.
Yeah, it's well balanced.
Okay, so I just found the coolest thing just now on Twinkies that I reviewed. I just quickly want to show everybody here. This is the most epic troll that I've seen in a long time. So this is Twinkies, right? If you scroll down here and just click on reviews, you'll find a review there from Kathy Wood. Just check this out. Look how Kathy Wood snatched this show right here. So this is epic troll style. I subbed Cap Golden Butter with VT Butter Base. I subbed Inawera Shisha Vanilla with VT Vanilla Cream. Subbed Sugar Daddy with VT Sweet Mate. Subbed OOO Sweet Cream with TFA Sweet Cream. Subbed TFA Whipped Cream with TFA Vanilla Swirl. And then she just rocks off with a review for her recipe over here, right? Off the shake and on the inhale, I'm getting a soft cake and some sweetness. The exhale seems to be slightly creamy and remnants of cake. I'll give it a recommended 5-day steep, then try again. But it's pleasant, light cream at the moment. Definitely worth mixing, you know. So, yeah, I just want to give Kathy Wood a fist bump there for her epic recipe that she put on this recipe and rated it 5 stars. That's definitely some good snatch work right there. Yeah, Richard?
That's an epic review, that. I mean, we should do that. We should do that to Skittles.
Excuse me.
I do think Kathy should post that though, like, because that's a recipe on its own, right? It's a brand new recipe. Like, she could just be like derived from maybe, but that's a new recipe.
Yeah, that's cool, dude. Kathy, we love your style, dude. It's awesome. You get a fist bump for that recipe. I'll go check it out. But yeah, guys, that pretty much brings us to the end of the show. So, of course, just want to thank Fresho3 for letting us run this right after his show. Thank you to everybody in chat that joins us week after week. Please go and join us on Mixologist, the Mixologist South Africa Facebook group. You'll find the links in the description below of all the TFV team members, all the flavors and ELR profiles. And some shout outs to Daytime Frank, DIY Down Under. Go check out their YouTube channels as well. After this show, it is developed. So please go and check out that channel as well. And then I think right after that, it's DIY Down Under, mixing with me mates. I think it's that, right? So go and check that out. But yeah, just pretty much where you can find me is on Mixologist. And if you want to reach me, just Gmail, thefogvlog@gmail.com. Deets, where can people find you?
Mixologist Facebook group. Almost forgot. ATF Deets with 2 Z's. ELR Deets 1 Z. Or just Gmail. Deetsvape@gmail.com. Daniel, where can people find you?
So all the flavors under Doctor Store, or the Facebook group. That'll be the best way. Not my Gmail, because I just don't look at it. It's pretty much just like my spam location, right? I think I've like 1,000 unread messages, so Gmail is a bad place to contact me. But Facebook, I'm regularly on Facebook. And then all the flavors, which I'm also regularly on. And Richard?
You can also find me on the Mixologist Facebook group, and then also on the e6sa.co.za forum. And just a request that we got last week from Pippa, who wanted to hear us say this. So Pippa, this one's for you. Diplomatic immunity. Theo.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Okay, well, there we go. Show's over. Thanks for joining, guys. Remember to like and subscribe, and we see you guys next week. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.